Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the BFG podcast. Today it's an absolute pleasure, along with Denise and Jonathan, to be joined by Chloe Knott, a the Wellington Phoenix midfielder.
Thanks
So,
for having me.
so welcome, Chloe. It's great to have you on the show today.
Awesome. It's great to be here. I'm excited.
So I believe if I got my notes in my head right, we're starting with Jonathan, I think.
Correct. So, Morena, Chloe, welcome to Flight of the Knicks. That's the name of our supporters group, and this is the BFG podcast, actually named after Blake Forbes Gender. He's the good-looking guy in the wheelchair there, in the power chair. It's lovely to have you here with us. So we'll just give you a little bit of background about who we are and how we got to be here today. So about 12 or maybe even 18 months ago, we saw a need, or Blake saw a need for inclusivity.
It'll be here on Tuesday, in fact.
Here on Tuesday. So Blake saw a need, or he really wanted to develop a group of fans and supporters that were inclusive of gender, sexuality, disabilities, all of those things. And so the three of us, plus a few others, have joined together. We've got this group, which we call Flight of the Knicks, aptly named by Denise. And we are super fans, and we are particularly super fans of the Phoenix women's squad. So, so that's pretty much us in a nutshell. So so far we've had a really fantastic chat with Gemma before she left, before she departed to go and do other Gemma things. And we also had a chat with Mackenzie a couple of weeks ago, and she was fantastic too. So we're just trying to make our way through the team. And one of the things that we're really big on is promoting women's football and professional players like yourself.
Awesome. Yeah, it's great to have people like you involved. And yeah, I was really excited when you asked me to come on. I think it's so cool to talk about women's football and increase accessibility and visibility. So yeah, really excited. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's fantastic to have you here. Okay, let's kick off. Simple question, or maybe it's not so simple, but describe Chloe Knott as a footballer in 3 words.
Oh, okay. Good one to start. I think probably I would like to think of myself as hardworking and aggressive, or I guess aggressive. And I'd say maybe dynamic or something. What do you think?
Very cool.
We had a friend on who played against you just a few days ago, and she would have said all those things.
Okay.
And wickedly smart is also probably what she said too. So
awesome. That's really nice.
she just went by me on the field.
Oh wow. Cool.
Yeah. It's great. So you've had a kind of a different journey than maybe most Kiwis. Mm-hmm. Can you just bring us back into just what your journey's been and how did you end up a Hoya?
Okay, yeah, it's a good story. No, so I was born in England and I moved to New Zealand when I was 13 with my family. So we came for the better life and, the lifestyle, that kind of thing. We all came together. And I started playing football at the club level in New Zealand and got into the NTCs and then got into under 17s age group camps and training squads. And then I think it was a month before the World Cup, they were kind of oh, but you haven't fit this within this FIFA rule of living here for 5 years after the age of 18. It was a little crazy rule. And so kind of dreams got shattered. I couldn't go to the World Cup after being in the cycle and going to every single training for 2 years. And around the same time, I was thinking about going to America, but then this happened. So I was like, okay, yeah, I definitely need to go to America. I'm heartbroken, I need a new challenge. And so got this unbelievable opportunity. It was really last minute to go to Georgetown University. So I'd originally like kind of was about to commit to Colorado College, and then like last minute they had someone pull out of Georgetown with injury, and they said we've got this full scholarship come up. It's very last minute, like almost like 4 months before, I was due to move, and they were like, "Do you want it?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know. Didn't know much about Georgetown or anything." I was like, "Oh, I'm not really sure about that. Like, I'm kind of happy about Colorado." And the guy was like, "Chloe, this is a really good school. Think about this." And then obviously I went with the advice, and I'm so glad that I did, because went to Georgetown. It was just the best 4 years. I loved the whole entire experience.
Yeah. Georgetown I was there a couple months ago. It's literally one of my favorite places in America. I mean, it's right at top 5 at least. It's a really neat place in Washington, D.C. Can you talk us through why Kiwis go to the American collegiate system? And then also maybe, do they still need to do that?
That's a good question. I think when I was doing it, I think it was probably like a few ferns had gone over already. So like Katie Bowen had gone, I was friends with her, and Rosie Wright was there at UCLA. So they were at these amazing schools, and they were having brilliant experiences and also getting selected for the ferns, and they were like doing really well. So it was like that no-brainer for me. Like I had to go. There wasn't really another option, because I couldn't do under 17s or under 20s. And so I think at the moment, I think there's like a gap for me of like, once you do the age group things, and then like, where do you go? Do you go to England or America, or kind of what do you want from football is the decision you have to make. And for me, like I've always prioritized kind of my education. My parents have always kind of made that a priority for me. So I knew that I wanted to study, and kind of America is the best way to study and to play. Probably not just to play, but to play and to study. Like it was just like the easy option, and you get your degree, and you get to play for 4 years, and you get to like experience a new culture and travel a bit of America. So that's why I went. I think it just all depends what you want as an individual from football and from life, Yeah.
So just cutting in there for a little second. So I read, or I've discovered that you were like, was it all East academic, like high, like star type thing. So
Yeah.
you weren't just hardworking, you got smarts too. That's pretty cool. 3 years in a row. That's fantastic.
That doesn't normally get brought up. It's normally like the football thing, but like my coach was very into like the holistic student athlete. So he wasn't a coach that was like football. He was very much like, you must get good grades in order to like be on this team, and we want high achievers in both sides. So it was the standards that he set, and I like that. Like that's what I wanted for myself as well. So it was a good fit for me, really.
I mean, for those of you who don't know, Georgetown is on par with Harvard, Yale. I mean, it is basically considered up there with an Ivy League school. So that's saying a lot. And I know these two guys are just dying to ask you about your education and things like that. I've been like, no, you shouldn't ask female footballers about their education, and like they don't have a career. But I think in your case, I might let them go, and I think it will weave into your role with the Phoenix and just that background. So feel free to hold that and tell us about it along this journey of this podcast, because these guys, they really want to know the whole person. And it sounds like your education, your interest is part of who you are, and has, the Phoenix, good or bad, has used that as a resource.
Definitely.
So Jonathan, do you want to ask her?
I was just gonna cut in there because at the end of last year, well, maybe it wasn't. It was kind of the end of last year, Chloe. You did a podcast interview with the Players Association, and in that, there was a lot of discussion around how did the last season go, and one of the things that was discussed was your place as a leader slash mentor in the team for some of the younger players, and that was so cool to listen to. Could you describe a little bit more about how last season played out and what some of the challenges and the successes were for you?
Yeah, I think yeah, it was an interesting year last year. Like it was just kind of all a bit of a whirlwind, and everybody was just kind of taking it as in our stride as we went and trying to figure it out along the way. But I think for me, I've done that before, so I've like done it coming to New Zealand, and I've done it going to America, and like I've kind of done it by myself in America. So I'd kind of experienced that before, whereas the younger girls, it's their first time ever moving out of home and being away from family and cooking meals for themselves and like figuring out who they are almost as a person as well, like kind of an identity thing as well. So I think it was yeah, I think it was challenging for the younger girls more so because they hadn't experienced it. And so I think along the way I was just kind of trying to like, it's all right to feel like this, like kind of just explaining what I'd gone through, and if I could help them in any way, then I would. And I think as well, like we go back to like studying and things, but I've studied psychology and like I'm really into mental health, and I like look after my own mental health quite a bit, and I'm like really that's like a big passion of mine. So I think that kind of helped me to support the girls as well, and just giving them tips, like daily tips on like you could journal about this, or maybe let's go for a walk together and just get some fresh air and clear your brain and that kind of thing. So yeah, I think that was more just like giving tips and things, but I hope it was helpful. I think some of the girls kind of did start to go for walks and have me time and do self-care things. So that was cool to watch and be a part of.
So what was it like? Because so you were at Georgetown till what, 2018?
Yeah, 2018, yeah.
And then you got signed with the Knicks in 21. So obviously, so in that period, there's this thing called a pandemic. So no one's playing, or there's not a whole lot of football going on. And then the Knicks suddenly get told you can have a women's football team. And then all of it, like someone puts a contract in front of you and you're now a professional football player. What does that feel like? What was that moment like?
It was honestly wild. Like, I think I saw a notification and it was like, oh, women's football team created, Wellington Phoenix team created. And that was probably like August or something. And the season was starting in November. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. Like, and at that time, I was like, I want to be involved. I want to be a part of it. But I was it's in the middle of lockdown. Like nobody knew what was happening. And actually, it's a funny story because one of my friends messaged me that photo and was like, Chloe, are you going to do this? And I was like, I mean, like, love you, but I can't just be in the team. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, I want to be in the team and then I get in. And he was like, you need to make a move, like email the coach, like put your name in the hat. And I was like, you know what? Like, yeah, I'm going to do that. And then I did it. And I got an email saying, yeah, we're going to put you on the short list or whatever. And it all worked out, but it was just crazy, crazy month. And just so like, it's like, it felt like a dream come true, like out of nowhere. Like I'd kind of almost given up on that dream and then it just all happened. So it was really cool. Yeah.
Were you living in New Zealand at the time?
Yeah, I was in New Zealand, in Auckland. Yeah, just in lockdown and working pretty much.
You're lucky you were in New Zealand.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, really lucky. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. Having gone through the lottery and MIQ, it was a
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so Blake, do you want to jump in about the highs and lows of the season, or?
Well, Jonathan kind of started on. What can I use instead? Let's see. Okay.
How about on the pitch? The highs and lows of the season. Let's relive a little.
Okay. So, what are your highs and lows, Chloe, on the previous season?
Yeah. Okay. I'll start with low, just so we can end on a high. But I probably the low I think was obviously like the losing wasn't fun, but I think it was more like right before Christmas, we were kind of like ending the year, and you kind of want to end in a good place, you know, to have your Christmas and have your New Year. And I think we took a hard loss. I think it was 4-0 or something. And we played really well and we really left everything on the field. And, you know, I think it was the City game, Melbourne City. And it was just sucks to know like we've made all this progress. We know the progress we're making and we've done really well on the field, but it just wasn't clicking yet. And I think it was more just like frustration about like we're doing so well and we know we are, but it's not showing. And like we wanting to make everyone proud back home and show them that the progress we're making, but it didn't happen. So I think that was probably a low. And then high, definitely the win. Definitely when we got that first win, like I cried. I was like so happy, and it's so funny because it's like one win out of a whole season, but it's just we knew we could do it, and it's been coming for so long, and then to finally do it was just cool. Yeah.
So what was it like after that first win then? So was there like a certain atmosphere in the dressing room? You went back and you got this win and you were like, okay, this is fun. Did you have like a party or anything like
We had a
celebrate?
Yeah, we had a party on the bus back. So like you can imagine we're all in the bus. It's like nighttime and we're all like sweaty, like no one showered, and everyone's just like belting out High School Musical, like just the climb, really. And the whole bus, like coaches, we were just like screaming the whole way back to the hotel, like yeah, almost like karaoke party. It was great, and then we got back to the hotel, and the coaches organized food, and it was really nice. Kind of all just sat in a circle, just laughing, and yeah, it was cool. Really cool night. And then, you know, we had a game like not long after. I think the next week, so we're like, okay, back in. You know, we know we can do it now. So we had to refocus pretty quick.
So Gemma's now stepped away and Natalie comes in as coach. So Gemma's got an amazing opportunity to go for her, pro card. What do you think the changes just looking ahead, what do you think the changes will be? Because obviously Nat was on the team last year as well. What are you looking forward to?
I think amazing that we've got Nat. Like I have so much respect for her. I think she's just a great person and she's a good leader and she's a really knowledgeable coach. Like she's got some amazing experiences under her belt. So I think, and it's cool that she's been with us the whole time. So she knows the majority of the group. We already have good relationship with her. And yeah, I think I'm looking forward to like growing and like she's been with us, so she knows where we need to improve and what we can do better and what we're good at already. So it's just like a next step. It won't be like this huge change. I don't think it'll more be like, okay, another step forward, a bit more progress, and we can just kind of pick up where we left off and keep improving.
So for you, last year you were kind of quite versatile on the pitch. So you kind of swapped between attacking mid and then up front, up and striker.
Yeah.
Which would you prefer? Where would you like to settle?
Yeah. So I like my idol is Kevin De Bruyne. So he's like my favorite player of all time. But I definitely feel like I'm more of a midfield. I feel like I can do more for the team in midfield, but like as long as I'm on the field, I genuinely like just want to do something for the team in any way I can. So like while I prefer midfield and because I think I'm quite busy and I like to be on the ball quite a lot, that probably is why I like it more. But at the same time, you know, I'm not going to complain. I'd rather just be on the field. Yeah.
Okay. We have a couple hard questions. Are you up for a couple hard questions?
Go for it. I'm ready.
Okay. So, you know, one of the brands of the team last year was around mental health and that, you know, that it was successful in just navigating some of these young players around it. You know, you've been in America, you kind of know what it's like. You know, the Yates report came out. You know, our statement from the Flight of the Knicks group is really simple. If the players aren't safe, you know, then nothing else matters. And so I guess what we're curious of is, you know, what's your reaction to that? And, you know, it needs to happen on the league level and the team level to protect the players. You know, just do you have any comment? I mean, just really open-ended. I don't want to press you in one way or another, but, you know, I was looking around the A-League site and I was like, I don't see anything about, you know, safety and you know, these things. And I know the men's team has a chaplain, but the women's team has, you know, each other, which doesn't sound sometimes like enough. So, you know, and if someone has to blow the whistle, I personally don't know how a player would navigate that. Just any sort of thoughts on any of those sort of tentacles.
Yeah, I think that report was hard to read. Yeah, it was really hard to read, and it's shocking, but it's also like, yeah, like you can see how things can escalate if it's not stamped out or like addressed early enough. And I think, like for us, last year we had like a player welfare manager, and we had like two really supportive coaches, and I mean the entire staff was very, very supportive of like everyone's journeys, and it was a constant conversation about like how are you doing, like checking in. And I think we're lucky with the older players we had. Like, you know, Lily was a really good leader for us, and like, you know, we had players there that were checking in with people regularly, which I think is like all you can really start with, like on the team level, and then coaches as well. And I think we also had access to a psychologist, so that was like a big part of our like support. And the same thing this year, so we've got access to the psychologist, and yeah, I think that's like huge. Like just to know that there's someone there outside of the team that you could go and talk to about whatever you need is great. And I think the conversations within the team that we have about mental health, like they improve throughout the season. And I think it's just more and more steps to like improve and make it more like normal to talk about what you're struggling with, or, you know, make it kind of an open environment to discuss issues. And I think we've like done really well starting last season, and then hopefully we can just build on that this season. And I think we've got the right people there, the right coaches, the assistant coach and manager. They all seem really, really supportive, and it's going to be a good environment, I think, for that.
Wow. It's really great to hear, because you want a team with some sort of emotional intelligence, but you want the resources so that people, you know, everyone has to gripe about something, but if they have someone else to go to and gripe, and you know that it's not, you're just not filling each other's bucket, you know, with constant. You know, I'm heartwarmed to hear that you have those resources, and I think that's something you can grow on. When we interviewed David Dome, he seemed, you know, really into the women's side and want to make sure that there was enough resources. And as a supporters group, we're with the athletes. We actually want to make sure that you guys have what you need, and that it's not haphazard, that it is professional, and that you can grow as players because you have all this other physical support and also mental health support. I mean, it was crazy watching you guys last year in another country and all these youngsters. We were like, I hope they're okay.
Yeah, it was tough. And I think it was tough to like go through that. I think it was a combination of lockdown and then last minute flights, last minute moving, and then just kind of everything. And then the pressure of performing as well, like add that into everything. It's just like, it's tough. Like it would be really tough. And like, I think I have had a like, I can't explain it, but like because I know about mental health, I was very conscious of like, I need to take time out right now. Like I need to go for a walk. I need to journal about this, or I need to, check in with my coach and let them know how I'm feeling. But I think that's something you learn with time and experience. And I think the girls like developed so much like as people over that year. And we did have good support. Like Gemma was great, and that was great. Like, and we had a psychologist, we had a player welfare manager, and it was kind of like them asking us what we need. Like they knew it was hard, and it was more like, what do you need? Like, how can we help? And they were checking in with us even when we got home, that we were putting plans in place like, okay, it's going to be tough when you get home to now adjust to normal life, so what do you need for that? And it was really great conversations that we were having, and we're lucky that, and like Nat has done a course on psychology and counseling as well, so she's pretty good with mental health, and I think that makes all the difference, is just to have the knowledge. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. The next generation of coaches, hopefully has that in their back pocket, like, that it's not just about screaming, you need to do this and this and this, that they get it. They get the whole thing. They get the whole person. It doesn't mean they have time to be like everyone's personal psychologist, but, just to understand that, is I think a step in the right direction. And it's what, for example, that report kind of says, like, you can't have idiots at the top who are just like, selfish and mean and cool and don't understand what vibe they're putting out on the pitch.
And I think that's like the people we have involved now, like, are very conscious of like everything, like are very, very thoughtful and intentional about what the atmosphere we're creating from day one of training. So like it's really cool. Like I'm really like excited for the season, and I think it's going to be so much better being at home as well and having family support, which is going to be a big one.
So on that, so last season, you were pretty much, the team was basically in camp every day. And this year, you're going to be, at home or off-site, away from each other. That's going to create a bit of a different dynamic, isn't it?
Yeah, like it's funny, I was talking to Bree about it the other day, like the goalie. And we were just saying like how different it is this time because we're not living together. So everyone's kind of like separated. So when we come together, it's like we love it. Like we still liked being together last year, but now it's like I missed you. I didn't see you overnight or whatever. Or like we had a day off and I didn't get to see you. So now we come together and it's cool to be together, and we have these 2 hours where we can really make the most of it. And like, rather than being together 24/7 and like trying to get your time alone, it's more like we have our time alone now and like we have balance, but like I miss my team. I want to be back with my team now, and I think that will be really cool this year.
So an interesting dynamic, and you just mentioned Bree, and I'm a big fan of Bree. She's fantastic. She had a great off season playing in Aussie.
Yeah.
But what I find interesting is like I see like yourself and Lily and Mackenzie, these other players, and like when you're not on the pitch, you've got very soft and lovely and gentle, and then you get on the pitch and like it's like game brain goes on, and it's like, holy, just watch out, like Chloe's coming through and Lily's on the ball. It's like
Yeah, I'm like I have two personalities, like on field me and off field me. Like, yeah, I think I stole blue when I'm on the field and I'm like in that game mode. I want to win. But yeah, I think as soon as the whistle blows, I can like kind of like, okay, I know, like real life. But yeah, Lily's hilarious. She's like definitely got like that switch when she needs to switch. She can be like very, ref, what you doing? So yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
Would you like tough question number 2?
Okay, let's do it.
So we asked this question of Mackenzie Barry, and I plan on asking everyone this question that comes on as a special guest. How do we get more girls involved in football? And actually, how do we get more girls of different ethnicities involved in football? And it's a passion of mine. Like, coming from America, there's a vibe that it's a rich white sport, and it's changing in America, I think. But I kind of want to see it change everywhere.
Yeah, I agree. And I think like football's so inclusive. Like it can be, like everybody can play, anyone can play, like it's just like giving people the opportunities to do so. And I think like things like this podcast and like media, social media, and promoting the game for girls of all backgrounds, like every kind of walk of life, is just showing that you can do it, and like you can actually do it at a high level. You can do it for fun, and like, yeah, I think just making it more visible is important, and increasing like the contact centers, like the talent development programs, and having them all over New Zealand. I know it's like easier said than done, but just trying to get out into schools in all areas of New Zealand, low income, and giving them the opportunity to kick a ball, because all you really need is football boots, and like that's really all you need, football boots. And if someone has a ball, then you can play. So yeah, I think it's definitely a sport that can be tailored for everybody. It's just like giving people the opportunity to get on a team.
Right on.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we talked about with Mackenzie as well, which we'll do with everyone, is I'm just trying to think, like there's a whole lot of young players who are aged between say 5 and 15 who are looking up to yourselves as the next women's team, because you're right here in the country. What kind of responsibility comes with that, and what does it feel like as a player, knowing that you've got this next gen looking up, going, wow, I want to be like Chloe, I want to be playing in the midfield, I want to be playing against the boys and footing it with them?
Yeah, it's crazy, like, to think that. And I think like I always have like kind of lived my life, because I have a younger sister who's 10 years younger than me. Like I've always kind of tried to model like the pathway that I want her to like know that she can achieve to if she wants to. So I think it's kind of similar. Like I've got my little sister, she's always been in the back of my mind of like, I want her to like have these opportunities, and I want her to like feel like she can do whatever she wants, and like the world's her oyster. So I think that's like how I talk to her about it. And that's what I'd want to say to like young girls is like, you can achieve, like you can do what you want with whatever you want to do. But I think it's just giving them the support and belief that they can do it. Yeah.
It's beautiful. It is.
May I jump in, Denise?
Mhm.
Please.
Go for it,
Yeah.
Blake.
So I'm going to ask you a two-parter on what you're doing on TV, if you don't mind. So you've recently joined the team at the Sky Sport Football Fix.
Mhm.
So you did a piece on the new facility that just opened this week.
Yeah.
So how important is that new facility for the women's team? So how lucky do you feel to have that? Because that's that mentality is better than the women's and the men's Premier League facilities combined.
Yeah.
So to know that we have had that built here, that's probably one of the number one, if not the number one in the world, in little old Hutt Valley.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
It's wild. Like honestly, you're gonna have to come and have a look at it. But like it's just unbelievable. Like you really feel like you're a professional. Like you're walking in there and you've got like this massive weights room with like 20 racks and like cold tub, hot tub, sauna. Like it's just unbelievable. Like it's so professional. So lucky that we have it this year. And I think it will make such a difference for us to feel like, okay, we are professional athletes, and this is like the facilities that we have because people are investing in us. And like you feel like more of a professional walking in there now. And I think that's a mindset shift already. Like I remember in Georgetown, we actually had a facility built like my third year, I think, going into my third year. And that third year was the year that we kind of like went on a run and won everything. And I think it was like probably a combination of things, but just having that like going into a nice locker room and having amazing weight facilities and all of that, it's like it just makes you feel like good, feel like a professional. So yeah, so lucky, so grateful.
So do you have
then
your own locker room there, or how does
Our
that
locker room, yeah, like we've been using a locker room in there. I think there's stuff still being finished off, but yeah.
And then finally, with your analyst hat on again, how do you think the new signings will, in your opinion, because we've asked a few people, but I just want your opinion as a player, how do you think the new signings will benefit the team this year and the women's?
I think they're going to be like unreal for us. Like Paige Satchel's like, been in with the Ferns for ages, and she brings so much to the team. Like even when I watch her for the Ferns, I'm like, she's doing a lot for that team at the moment, and she works so hard, and she's got pace in behind. Same with Mickey Robertson. She's like so rapid, and like she's had great experiences. She's been in with the academy, and I think it's just really cool to have them on. And Betsy again, she's so experienced. I think what we lacked probably last year was a bit of experience when we needed it in the tough games, and just having those 3 experienced players is already like gonna boost, I think, the team mentality and make us feel more confident when like adversity comes in the season. So I think they're just gonna add to our group so much on and off the field.
And I'm going to do a little plug here. If you want to hear more of Chloe's opinion, you can catch her at 7:30 on Wednesdays on Sky Sports 7.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's good.
So the flip side to that, though, Chloe, is there 3 good signings. We've got a fantastic team across the field. Like every position is looking great. That's going to raise the competition levels for people to get starting spots.
100%, but that's only a good thing. I think like to be in an environment and have to fight for your position every day is like gonna make trainings better. And I think that's the kind of the environment we are creating. Like, and that's like pushing that almost is like no one's guaranteed. Like I don't feel like I'm guaranteed. Like, I show up to training wanting to prove myself every single day, and I think that's a good environment to create, because we all get on and off the field, but it's like we show up to training and we want to fight for our spot. And I think it's just going to push us all to improve, and it's going to keep the quality up all season. So I think it's a great thing to have competition. No one's guaranteed a spot at the moment. Yeah.
Well, I think it's fair to say that we, at least us 3 and a whole lot of people in our group, we are very, very excited for game day 1, October, it can't come soon enough.
I know. So no, give us some time. We need to like get into training and sort things out and have all the group together. So we're ready. But I think by that day we'll be good to go. Things will be all sorted for us. Yeah.
So what's the best way to support the team as?
I think just what you guys are doing is just like talking about like the team and like supporting us and supporting that date of like November 20th and trying to get people down to watch, or whether it's in person or on TV. I think it just makes all the difference. Like every single message of support we got last year just like was a little boost for us. And so just having more people doing that and like feeling like we have more support is just, it just pushes us along so much. And I think being home this year and like actually being able to see the people that have been sending messages and is just going to be awesome. Like I can't wait for it. So lucky to have people like that backing us, and to now like see them with our own eyes and be like, oh, we do actually have people who support us. I think that will be cool.
One of the nice things that happened last year with our group is that some of the players' families, members actually are part of our group. And so part of our ethos is that we talk encouragingly, and, last year, particularly in the men's team, there are a few people who see, professional players and couch coaches just want to have their comments and have their say. And like, that's not always useful, but in our group, we're very particular about encouragement and putting things out there. So we've got a few players' dads, we've got some nanas, we've got some aunties, and it's so cool. So we can't wait to be there with them, in the stadium on November 20th to be cheering you all on.
And I think like that's it. I think like obviously you can be critical, and like it's important to like ask the hard questions sometimes with sport, with any athletes in sport. But I think like yeah, I think for us, like knowing that, there are people supporting us, even when we have bad days, or even when, we're not playing as well as we know we can, like just to know that these people still support us is like a great feeling. So yeah, we really, like, honestly, I really appreciate everything you guys are doing, but the team definitely, like, it's so cool to have people like you involved in the game and backing us.
Yeah, so we're going to try our best to get down to be there for the 5th game.
I hope so.
Yeah. Anything else from anyone? Otherwise, I'm going to pull it there.
Thank you, Chloe. You're awesome.
Thank you so much. That was great.
So with that, I'm going to say like and subscribe this video, and we will see you on the next one.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.